parts. Oh my gosh. For being sad. China. I have to have my China.
Oh, never occurred to me. Interesting. Just crazy enough to work. Yeah.
It's science. Don't be creepy.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
Just like my wife's vagina. Don't even play. A fucking bitch.
What now?
Cow.
Equal parts. Oh my gosh.
That's hot.
Arguably the greatest work of nonfiction of the 20th century.
That's too much, man.
Phrasing.
Climate and everything are the same word. This is from 12 Months for Life.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Not a one reality. Follow me which way.
Your name, please?
Cow. That's hot.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
Equal parts. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's good to see you once again. Feels like an entire week has passed. Just the weekend. But it's Sunday FUNDAY, so maybe no doom will happen today. What do you think? Oh, wait, checking my list here. Nope. Maybe some doom. That said, let's press on into the unknown. I'm seeing complaints about me being late. I was, in fact, doing something related to the stream. Had to download a new Patreon animation for the end of the stream. Well, I had to make it and then download it. Yeah, here we are. In the same place as usual. Together. In space. I suppose we start in a very familiar place to us. In the United States. Where, the ridiculous number of guns in our country have continued to lead to people shooting each other. A lot. Let's see. I guess we'll start here from a day ago. Where, according to NBC LA, there's been a deadly double shooting in Exposition Park. I have no volume. What's happening?
Now we are following breaking news out of Exposition Park where 2 people have been killed.
Right now, police are searching for the shooter. NBC4's Christian Cossares joining us live now with more. Christian.
Well, I can tell you that I spoke to a captain with LAPD about half an hour ago, and they tell me that the 2 men that were shot and killed here are not from this neighborhood, but they were here visiting one of their girlfriends when the shooting happened. Now, I want to step out of the way so you can see that there is still heavy police presence here. Now, we are near Budlong Avenue and Browning Boulevard. I can also tell you that family of at least one of those victims is here, but they declined to talk to us. Now, we want to show you the scene from up above from News Chopper 4. LAPD says they received a call about a shooting around 2 o'clock this afternoon near Browning Boulevard and Budlong Avenue. Police say 3 men were having a conversation. 2 of them got into a car. The other one walked away, but then came back and shot those men inside the car. One of the victims died in the car. The other was taken to a hospital where he died. Police tell me both victims are believed to be in their 20s. LAPD Captain Michael Lorenz says less than a dozen gunshots were fired.
Yeah, it does seem like enough though, doesn't it? Today is Mexico's election day, that's right. And Mexicans who do not live in Mexico can still vote. Which is I think a new thing in this election. For 2024. Okay. Well, let's move along to this. This one's this is from ABC 7 New York from 11 hours ago, where a man has been injured in a shooting on the number 4 train in Manhattan. Of course that happened.
New overnight, police are looking for a gunman who opened fire on a 4 train in Manhattan, hurting 1 man. Police say it happened at the 86th Street station just after 2:30 this morning. The victim was taken to the hospital, we understand, in stable condition. No word on what led up to the shooting. So far, no arrests.
Happening today, paying tribute to our fallen heroes early this morning. About 1,000 New York.
One thing that confuses me, in terms of like subway shootings, is just like where you have to be in your head, like headspace, right? In terms of your, in terms of your thinking, to just open fire in the middle of a goddamn subway car, right? It's full of people. There's basically nowhere to go. It just fucking pisses me off.
Rid of the Second Amendment?
Okay. We got one more. We can get through this. Alright. This is also from ABC 7, but this is not in Manhattan. It's in Brooklyn, where a 14-year-old boy was fatally shot in the chest.
Tonight, police in Brooklyn have a suspect in custody after a 14-year-old boy was shot and killed at a NYCHA complex. Investigators say the boy was shot in the chest around 10:30 this morning at the Howard Houses on Osborne Street in Brownsville. First responders rushed him to Brookdale Hospital where he died. Police recovered a gun at the scene. A police source says the person in custody is a juvenile family member of the victim.
So frustrating. Are you on prep? Who is winning the election? I don't know what this means. I don't know what that means. I'm confused. Oh, our polling update system is called prep? Okay. I was unaware of the actual name of the system. Okay, alright, let's move along. And you know, we're gonna do this. This is pretty unusual for us, but it's Sunday Funday. So I figured we would talk about the Trump trial by way of watching a little show by the name of The Majority Report with Sam Cedar. Also Emma Bigland and Bradley and Matt. People. Many people. But let's start with this here. Yeah, Trump's lawyer throws him under the bus. He did I forget his name, but Donald Trump's defense attorney from the Hush Money trial made an appearance. Was this MSNBC? NBC?
So Donald Trump convicted on 34 counts. We're going to go through everything that you're going to be hearing. A lot of people debunked the sort of lies that the right wing and the defense attorneys were saying that the judge had screwed up on the instructions to
the jury.
The
we
jury.
actually opened it with that yesterday because it was just so ridiculous. They were saying that unilaterally the judge had told the jury in the instructions that they did not need to be unanimous when they came back with a verdict. But that's not what the judge said. The instructions basically said that you don't need to agree on all of the methods that on what the primary method essentially was. To bring it up to the election interference charge. You don't have to be unanimous on that point, but you do have to be unanimous in rendering a verdict on the counts. So, like, it would be a pretty big deal if the judge all of a sudden said, yeah, we're throwing out the concept of unanimous jury convictions in their instructions to the jury. It might raise some legal issues.
It would be weird.
Raise
It would be
some
weird. Issues,
No
because
doubt.
that's not the way it works in criminal cases. But what's interesting is you're going to hear all of this. There's going to be so many different excuses for this. I mean, they're going to bring this stuff up on appeal. People I have spoken to say they don't think the appeals are going to work. Now, I will say right up front too, I don't think Donald Trump is going to go to jail for this. If you look into cases like this, and we're going to talk about how many cases are brought up like this.
Give you support person. Okay. Okay, I can do that. Oh shit. Maybe I can do that. Well, that's a kerfuffle. Well, I have another one. 2, Cisco. Okay.
Just in New York City, the punishments range from, community service, pay a fine, to going to jail, depending on how, how these people are situated, how many criminal convictions they've had in the past, et cetera, et cetera. Is there a history of this? I don't expect Donald Trump to go to jail, but he is.
How much money? Supposedly, like in the first 24 hours after the announcement of the verdict, Donald Trump's PAC raised, I think, $500 million. Was it $500 million? I think it was $500 million.
Convicted felon, and unless it's overturned, he's going to remain a convicted felon. and
can't vote for himself.
And he cannot vote for himself in Florida.
Oh my God!
Even though he shouldn't.
He's had his vote taken away.
Because of Ron DeSantis overturning that.
Ron.
How dare you?
You never get it.
Oh, was it 50 million? Why do I have 500 million in my head? Thank you, Baker's dozen cats.
But here is Donald Trump's attorney. Now, here's the thing. This is an interesting exchange here because.
Oh, I think I'm thinking about how much he owes, because doesn't he owe like well, actually no, didn't the judge actually reduced it? It was like 450 million, and then they reduced it to, what was it, 350? Forget.
For two reasons.
Just so much money flying around in this whole situation. It's hard to keep
attorney,
track of all the goddamn
There's been
numbers.
a lot of criticism. In fact, we had a guest on Wednesday, a professor of white-collar crime, who was like, if I was the defense attorney, I would not have argued this case in the way they did.
Going after Michael Cohen's credibility, as opposed to just basically saying this is a stretch for you to bring it up to a federal or a felony charge because of its, it
wasn't just about Michael Cohen's credibility. It was that they were skeptical as to whether when Donald Trump said.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. I hate to interrupt Sam, but we can't watch this whole thing. I just I want to get us to the point where. Okay, hold on.
As an attorney in sort of a dilemma, but here is how it falls apart for Donald Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, who is on with Jesse Waters. Now, remember, this is a friendly territory.
To help him.
How involved was Donald Trump in his own defense?
I mean, what do you think? I mean, very involved. And he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He jokingly said to us a lot. Sometimes he wants.
I'm sorry. But look at Jesse Waters' face. It looks like it literally doesn't move that whole time. It doesn't change expression whatsoever.
I mean, very involved. And he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He jokingly said to us a lot. Sometimes he wanted to be the litigator. You know, he wanted to be the one that was actually arguing because he's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. We made every decision together. We did. And
so, because they've been trying to claim now that the lawyers bungled it, him saying that they made every decision together is pretty contradictory to that claim.
Things that he was frustrated with, you know, the judge several months ago, there was we wanted to be able to argue reliance of counsel, that to some extent President Trump was relying on his lawyer, and the judge didn't allow us to do that, and things like that where he would really push us and say, well, why can't we do this, why can't we do that? It was an honor for me to spend the last 6 weeks with him, defending him. It didn't work out. I mean, we got a bad result today. It's not over.
All right, stop it. Okay, so I just want
it's not over.
Just parse out what the guy just said.
Sad. Yeah.
He said Donald Trump was walking us through why we should argue that he was just relying on counsel. In other words, that like I was doing my lawyer told me, while this guy is explaining that Donald Trump was literally telling us what to do.
Yeah.
As his counsel.
Right.
So like we're to believe that when it came to paying off a woman who he wanted to be silent from an affair that he had had 10 years earlier, that he didn't instruct his lawyer at that time to do all this stuff in certain ways so that it could be obscured. But also,
no, it turns out that Donald Trump is so deeply involved. He's brilliant, also very involved, just more brilliantly involved, honestly. I think that's the best way to put it. At every possible step. He wanted to be his own lawyer, you know?
Less friendly territory here and similar conversation.
Right, doing that. And that's where I think we have disagreements. We think there are a lot that we're not.
Why did Donald Trump not ultimately take the stand here?
Well, that's a very personal question to him and to me honestly. And it's a
I'm
very
offended.
difficult question. Of course he wanted to testify, and I don't say that because that's what he has said. He wanted to get his story out. I think the judge had made some decisions before the trial or the day of the trial started about what would be allowed to be asked of him by the prosecutors if he took the stand. And some of those questions were really complicated to answer because there's still appeals going on, and so there's a lot of decision points that go into whether somebody testifies. Ultimately, it's his decision, and he listened to us, and he relied on our counsel, and he reached a decision that he thought was right, which I very much agreed with.
So that means your counsel was for him to not take the stand.
Whoopsies.
I'll tell you what my counsel was.
So you said he relied on counsel and he went with that decision and he didn't take the stand.
But ultimately, it was his decision, and I never say, and I think colleagues and folks that you have on here hopefully agree with me. I never say to somebody, "Don't take the stand." Right? That's their decision, and that's a decision that they have to make. But I want them to have they want them.
He's backtracking so hard right now. He basically just said, I told Donald Trump not to take the stand, and he listened to me. And then was like, wait, no. I mean, I told Donald Trump things about stuff relating to potentially the possibility of him taking the stand, and he decided whatever he wanted to, you know. He may have taken my advice, but that doesn't, what does that mean, advice? Can we debate the definition of advice before I finish this answer? Okay, let's move along. Just figured we would start it off with something a little bit just funny, honestly. I mean, it's still relevant, but it's just also fucking hilarious just to watch Trump's legal team continue to be the very best.
Illegal.
Okay. This should probably wait, hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you should probably, none of you will probably be very surprised by this next video coming out here. I just wanted to make sure that I got this correct. But yes, this is in fact true. This is from 9 hours ago, where apparently, Joe Manchin has, decided to change party from Democrat. Oh my god, that is shocking. Who could have guessed that?
This is from 12.
My commitment to my great country has been doing everything I can to make sure that we can survive as a representative form of democracy, a government that we have the people are in control of.
All that Joe Manchin cares about is making sure that, you know, his like family's coal company continues to make money, right? That's really all he cares about. Making sure that he has a direct route from his home to his yacht, things like that. That's what's important to old Joe here.
Not the party systems. And today, for me to be able to fulfill that, I have changed my registration to being a no party affiliation independent. My reason for that, I can speak to both sides without having a brand, if you will. The brands have gotten so bad. If you have a D by your name, a Democrat, just
you know what your brand is.
If you have an R by your name, you're supposed to hate Democrats. I don't hate either one, and they're not our enemies. Each one are not the enemy. We need to come together as a country, making sure that both parties have opportunities to bring the best ideas to fix the problems that we all face.
Ooh, wow. The best ideas. That's exciting.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
I wonder what he means when he says best. Anyway, just figured I'd give you that breaking news. Shocking information. that Joe Manchin's not really a Democrat. Holy what? Just, information I was not expecting. I'm sure you were not either. Anyway, let's move it along. Joe loves both parties. He's made a great living playing them against each other, which is why he's decided to just become a no-party independent. His party is money, money, money. Okay, what is next? Hold on, I gotta make sure I have this all in the right order. Let me just reload my list. Good God.
Follow the rich white man.
Okay, no more following Joe Manchin over here. Let's look at this. This is from a day ago. Bay Area LGBTQ plus communities are kicking off Pride Month with celebrations and a call to action.
ABC 7 News reporter Tara Campbell has a look at some of today's events.
One flag at a time, communities across the Bay Area are kicking off Pride Month, from Sonoma County to Oakland.
So now we need to grow together and make it an international community so everybody can know and they can come here and be safe and feel like there is a place that they can call home.
And in San Francisco, a similar message. This year's parade grand marshals ushering in Pride.
The visibility, for me, all the people that I grew up listening to, watch it on TV, that are part of the LGBTQ community, that means a lot to me. It's about just being your authentic self and just be you and not think about anything else.
It's embracing the fact that we can shine and also be a beacon of love, even in the darkest times.
The theme this year is Beacon of Love. And I think that's what it means to me this year.
Suzanne Ford is the executive director of SF Pride and says in this election year, the stakes are higher than ever.
Here in San Francisco, we're going to stand up for the right things. And trans rights, LGBTQ rights are human rights, and we're going to do that work.
The ACLU is currently tracking more than 500 bills across states taking aim at the LGBTQ plus community, many of them focused on transgender youth.
We're really seeing so many people under attack in many parts of the country and even right here at home. We still have a fight ahead of us, but we have prevailed and we will continue to prevail.
And while the battle continues,
Absolutely.
so too will the party.
We want millions of people to be out on the street. We want to do the right thing. We want to fight that hate. And we also want to have a jubilant time.
Absolutely. It's just to start here. However, I wanted us to look at something to give us historical context to LGBT rights. This is a graphical representation of the changing of LGBT rights from 1790 to 2019. I found this to be very interesting. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community is a community that represents sexual orientations outside of heterosexual and cisgender orientations, which had been suppressed in almost all regions for thousands of years. From time to time, some places supported LGBT rights and homosexual same-sex activity. However, this video will show you the legalization of LGBT rights from the beginning of the French Revolution, the beginning of the French Revolution to the present year, including legalization and recognition of same-sex marriage and civil unions, which still continue to this day. This is how it all happened. hold on, before we start, if you look in the left-hand corner here at the legend, purple is marriages being legal. Blue is civil unions being legal. Light blue, or cyan, is limited partnerships being recognized. Green is the legalization of same-sex activity. Yellow is just the decriminalization of the same thing. And orange is where jail time or some kind of legal penalty exists for it, for same-sex activity and or otherwise non-conforming gender or sexual behavior or identity. And red is the death penalty. And yeah, it started in 1790. It's moving pretty quick already. You can see, if you want, I can try and pause it randomly for you to be able to actually look at it. It's you can see that in Europe, and what is this? Is that Haiti? I think that's Haiti. Is that Haiti? Hold on. Now I gotta look it up. Yeah, that is Haiti. What I found interesting about this particular spot is that, like, just along the coastlines of Western Africa, it's legalized. There's no other distinction for most of Western Africa, but on the, like, right on the coast. And, like, I honestly wish I understood why that was the case, and I should probably try and look it up, but I only noticed it earlier while watching this video. Wild. In 1900, there was a penalty in most of the world. The world kind of sucks. Then China and what is that? Laos, no, not Myanmar, Thailand. Oh, god damn it! It's too many countries to list all at once. It would take us all night to analyze this entire video. But I do hope it's at least somewhat illustrative to you. Now, what I found strange, I didn't realize this, but the USSR, actually, I think the USSR legalized it, and then you'll see here in 1931, I guess that's like what, like a few years after Stalin took power. And then they went backwards. We need less backwards on the map. Let's be real. Now, unfortunately, even in the countries where marriages are legal, civil unions are legal, there is still plenty of issues to be dealt with. People still trying to legislate in an attempt to suppress LGBT rights. And I figured we should talk about that a little bit more in depth. It was mentioned in passing in that ABC News video we watched about the Pride Parade in the Bay Area, but I thought we should get into this. This is from 11 months ago, so there's actually been stuff that's happened since then, but I felt this nutshelled things pretty well. And I couldn't find another good video to do this, and I don't know. I'm just trying to make sure we at least discuss this.
More than 500 bills restricting the rights of LGBTQ plus people have been introduced across the country this year. 77 of those bills have been passed, impacting education and healthcare. Anne-Marie breaks this all down for us.
Yeah, in fact, Vlad, this is sort of a bit of a snapshot of all the states that have passed anti-LGBT.
Ugh, that snapshot is terrible. By the way, we're only one like away from getting to 20 and getting a second support character right now. God, that map sucks. Jesus Christ. No, that's not it.
Jesus, I say that.
Good God. Don't need you, Maximus. Thank you very much.
LGBTQ laws, but we're going to highlight a few of them that have really made kind of national headlines, and I'll start things off in Tennessee. So Tennessee has so far passed 5 anti-LGBTQ laws this year, including the first in the nation attempt to ban drag performances. Now, the law received, in public that is, the law received some criticism for its vagueness, and it was ultimately ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge. Now we're going to take you up north to North Dakota right here. North Dakota has passed 10 anti-LGBTQ laws, one of the highest amounts in the nation.
North Dakota. How many trans people are in North Dakota that they are needing to pass that many laws? This is ridiculous. 21 likes. That's a 1. That's just gonna get us a Scott Bakula up in this mix immediately. Okay, back to... Oh, you were hoping for a Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
They passed restrictions on healthcare and identification, but one aspect that has drawn attention involves public libraries. North Dakota's legislature has prohibited public libraries from maintaining sexually explicit material. This takes the book ban initiatives targeting queer and racial content and codifies it. And then down to Florida now. Of course, Ron DeSantis making a lot of headlines because of his anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, but the state passed a law banning gender-affirming care for minors. And here's what it includes. It discourages acts of social transitioning, like using different pronouns, but it also makes seeking gender-affirming care a condition for Child Protective Services to take a minor away from their parents. It's currently making its way through legal challenges, Vlad.
For more on this, let's bring in Paula C. Johnson. She's a law professor at Syracuse University's College of Law. So how many of these laws have actually been implemented versus struck down or held up by legal challenges?
Well, good morning. Many of the laws are still being considered by legislatures as well as by the courts. So while a number of them have passed in the state legislatures, they are still being challenged and are making their way through state and federal court systems. So we're not able to say at this moment, for instance, what the final analysis will be on these provisions, but they are all being contested.
So, I mean, I think many people are probably wondering, why are there so many laws now? Why are things so active when it comes to anti-LGBTQ legislation? What's causing this shift?
Well, some of it, of course, is the way in which the country is very polarized on social matters, and we're seeing the proliferation of these laws that is reflecting that. And
now, since this was from 11 months ago, we're not going to watch the whole thing. I actually have some stuff to read here. This is from Vox. The Supreme Court's confusing new anti-trans decision explained. So that was from 11 months ago. This is from about a month and a half ago, April 15th. It says that the Supreme Court has handed down a strange set of opinions on Monday evening, which accompanied a decision that largely reinstates Idaho's ban on gender-affirming care for minors. The ban was previously blocked by a lower court. None of the opinions in Labrador v. Poe spend much time discussing whether such a ban is constitutional, although Justice Brett Kavanaugh's concurring opinion does contain some language suggesting that he and Justice Amy Coney Barrett will ultimately vote to uphold the ban. Anyway, justices were somewhat divided on certain aspects of everything, but it sounds like many of these laws, of which there were, what did they say, 515, the Supreme Court has been upholding. I don't know exactly what percentage of it has been upheld, but it is not good for human rights in the United States. Okay, let's try to end this on a happy note. This is from 4 hours ago from New York City, where Queens has celebrated with a parade.
We are here to celebrate Queen's Pride and kick off Pride Month strong. Got nice contingent going to ride Queen's Pride.
It's so neighborhoody, it's so friendly, it's so diverse in Queens, and immigrant families from all over the world have their kids here sitting on the barricades going, look at all the pretty gay people. It's just lovely.
It's so nice. Everyone's so kind and friendly. Everyone's so organized. It's always a great time.
We need to continue doing this as long as we can provide positive guidance, positive role models, positivity for people who otherwise could feel despair. So yeah, let's keep celebrating ourselves and everyone else.
Sounds like a good plan.
It brings everyone together. It brings happiness and joy and community, and there's no tension. Everyone can kind of put aside their differences and just celebrate the fact that we're here, we're proud, we're happy.
Now, I have heard here and there about certain government agencies being concerned about terrorist threats, but so far, so good, knock on wood. And let's hope it stays that way for the rest of the goddamn month. What do you say? Alright. Well, oh shit, why did I just click? Don't click. That is so rude. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Fixed it. Fixed it. Oh god, I'm on Top Chat. I've been on Top Chat for way too long. It's been an hour. 51 minutes. 51 minutes and I've been on top chat the whole time. That is so unprofessional of me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I can't go back in time. Even with Scott Bakula, I can't do it.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
Okay. Let's move on from LGBT pride and talk about... Well, let's talk about some health-related stuff, really. To some... whatever. Although, I mean, well, yeah, you need food to be healthy, right? Am I right? I'm stretching. I'm stretching for a segue. Point is, this is from a day ago, global news, where inaccurate weights on food labels is sparking concerns in Canada amid a cost of living crisis.
It's 750 grams.
A growing number of Canadians are raising eyebrows over advertised food weights.
434 grams.
Rude.
We are being screwed.
Jacob's TikTok is just one of many videos circulating of people weighing their food packages and finding far less than what's labeled.
605, container included.
But it goes beyond anecdotes. According to new data from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the number of complaints about inaccurate grocery weight labeling has shot up in the past 3 years. Expert Alex Colangelo says figuring out who's to blame, whether it's manufacturers or retailers, is complicated.
The fact that you're purchasing a product that is mislabeled, the retailer would make you whole, but they're not necessarily the ones who are,
right, I mean,
quote unquote, at fault.
The CFIA says there was
not that I like Walmart, but Walmart's not filling Hershey's bags or Doritos. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, pretty sure that's on the company who makes it. I mean, it should be.
140% jump this past year in complaints of, quote, net quantity concerns. 8 of those complaints were in the past month alone. Colangelo says there is legislation that requires accurate labeling on food products, and if those are incorrect, then the CFIA can take action. He says legal action isn't realistic for many consumers, but they can demand compensation for the value of the missing good or get an exchange.
I think for most people, the response that would be...
Here's the problem with this, right? And I feel like if companies are consistently doing this kind of stuff, there has to be like criminal prosecution, essentially. There has to be some, because the fact is, like, think about it, right? How long would you say it takes per time that you interact with a company to get something back from them, right? Because it almost always takes more time to get something from them than to give them something, right? It takes more effort. You have to fill out some sort of complaint form, depending. You have to, we have to transfer you to this department. Oh, blah, 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 right? How much of your time is being used up by that? And considering, what minimum wage is and what other things are going, we're talking about, like, if you want compensation for 20% less in a bag of chips, but they're doing it consistently, but you'd have to go back to them literally every time to say, hey, you have to be weighing it before eating it every time. I mean, think about the effort involved in all of it. It's a money-losing opportunity, in my opinion, but they shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Practically doable would be go to the retailer, and hopefully they respond positively.
The CFIA's findings come amid growing frustration about high grocery prices and shrinkflation. NDP's food price inflation critic Alistair McGregor says the party wants to see legislation that will ensure grocery products are as advertised.
There's going to be a massacre of pride events. Let's hope not. Let's keep that kind of talk to a minimum. Let's not be predicting violent things to happen. Sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. I'm going to stay optimistic. Oh, God. All right. What is next? Oh, right, this. So, we have mentioned this, you know, kind of in and out over the last few months. I just kind of wanted to talk about this real quick. As this is continuing to become a thing. Oh, where is it? I just realized what happened to the... Well, anyway, let's just look at this. I've been seeing more and more cases of measles over the last few months, and I figured we would just talk about just how prevalent it's become, as I keep seeing more and more stories where people in airports were apparently there with measles.
And those Chicago cases are only adding to the national rise in measles cases. Jonathan Seri has more.
We've made progress treating and preventing serious cases of COVID, but that's not the only outbreak causing concern. 3 cases of measles have been reported in Chicago just weeks after at least 10 cases were reported hundreds of miles away in Florida, raising fears the disease could be spreading across the country. In Chicago, 2 of the 3 patients were children living inside a migrant shelter. 1 has been attending a nearby public school.
Yeah, people have told me that since they have little kids and all, it's bad for them.
The CDC says there are now reported measles cases in at least 17 states.
17 states have been hit with measles cases this year. I didn't know about half of these cases. It's getting out of hand. This shit was supposed to be gone. People lost their fucking minds, decided to stop vaccinating themselves and their kids. Now here we are. Now here we are with, measles isn't that fun of a disease, as it turns out. Oh, sorry. I thought I switched. Where was I? Yes. All right, let's talk about this really quickly. What are some fun diseases? I'm trying to think. I'm gonna think of a good one. Let me get there. Fun disease. Dang, this is harder than I thought. I mean, I'm just trying to come up with something. I was getting close to it. I felt like I was getting close. I was getting close. There was definitely going to be something. All right, let's see. I wasn't going to get something? Wow. Hurtful. Boogie fever. See, Aaron W. got there. See, I was trying and he just made me look like a fool. Right? Made us both look like fools. He said it wasn't going to happen. I could have done it. If I hadn't been so focused on explaining my thought process, maybe I would have gotten there before Aaron, but no, now. Oh, God. Oh, that is sad. Anyways, good job, Aaron. I mean, really. It's on me. I could have stayed focused. Not read Bad Lefty's comments. Not explained myself. Come up with zingers just like you, but no. Nope. Okay. Alright. This is from 2 days ago. We've been talking about this for a while. They are continuing to put the pressure on Justice Department. Now, actually, there has been some movement on this. I believe... Hold on, let's just watch this and then we'll talk about it more.
Today was a very intense meeting. The families were very strong and assertive in their determination to urge the Justice Department to have a prosecution of Boeing and not negotiate some plea deal that just takes us back to the DPA. The families want a day of reckoning in front of a jury.
They claim the MAX is completely safe. It's the most scrutinized plane ever, even as the doors blow off on the Alaska Air and they can't blame the pilots anymore.
It's hard for after 5 years when you are thinking that Department of Justice will do something to give justice to those people that died, including my daughter. And yet, at the end of the day, you're still back to square one. Justice was not served.
Okay. Excuse me. So I believe there has been some movement. That was from 2 days ago. Yesterday, I heard that Boeing has, not Boeing, the DOJ has, what did I say? Well, the DOJ has actually had some of the families in to speak to them about potentially actually doing this. What they were requesting is for them to sue Boeing for what's been happening, to do an investigation. Now, I don't think an actual investigation, I can't remember, has an investigation been announced? Hold on. No. It's just been into separate things, like the blowout of the Alaska Airlines back in March. Yeah, I don't think they have. Okay, all right. All right, let's move on from the goddamn airplanes. It seems like we talk about airplanes so much. It's ridiculous, and yet the fact is it has affected a ton of people. We recently saw a bunch of, I don't know exactly how many people. It was like I think it was like a dozen people were paralyzed on one of those flights going over, was it Afghanistan? No, it was somewhere south. I can't remember. But just something needs to be done about all this stuff. I've also lost track. Now I'm just talking. Oh yeah, all right, this is what we're doing. Right. Totally not ADD at all. Totally normal. Let's listen to Senator Bernie Sanders real quickly, where he made a few remarks regarding what should be happening with our healthcare system. I believe this was at the University of New England. It was Dubai and Dublin. Thank you. No, wait, but there were two. There was one between Dubai and Dublin, you're right. But then there was a second one. I can't remember where. I think that one went through the south. I think the other one was Singapore Airlines. Wait, no. Hold on. Now I'm just deep into this. I don't know why. Yeah, that was the other one. Okay, I was right. It was from London to Bangkok. Okay. WTF, Bernie? Sad frowny face? Wow. I think he was right about that stuff. I'm not sure what you're disagreeing with right now. I mean, unless you have a problem with healthcare. You don't think it's gonna happen? You think he's being too optimistic? Oh, right. I remember why I wanted to talk about the measles is because of this one. This is from a day ago. In King 5, this is from King 5 Seattle, where public health has warned travelers of potential measles exposure. Whoops.
Public Health of Seattle and King County warns some recent SeaTac travelers may have been exposed to measles. The agency says it's a highly contagious and potentially severe disease, and if one person has it, nearly 9 out of 10 people nearby will get infected if they're not protected. The infected traveler was in the airport on May 10th from around 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and May 11th from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Officials say if you were there, check your vaccination status. If you've gotten your shots, you are likely immune. But if you see symptoms, including a fever or an unexplained rash, call your doctor.
Yeah.
From drones to airplanes, even satellites, your insurance company may be...
Hold on. We're going to talk about this, but first, I just wanted to mention this. That video, how many is it? 1.6 thousand views. Now, I don't know how many of those people were actually in the airport at the time. But oh god, it's just worrying, right? Because the fact is measles is very, very contagious. People will transmit it. I'm trying to think of exactly how many people will be affected by it every time somebody goes out, but I think it's quite high, especially when you think about something like an airport. Make America infected again. Let's not do that. Let's do the opposite of whatever that is. Whatever that plan entails, I'd like to do the opposite, please. Okay. Now, we're going to start talking about climate change and things like that. Just environmental, ecological stuff. But first, to segue us into all of that, I figured we would look at this from NBC News, where they discuss a very disturbing trend. Apparently, insurance companies are now monitoring homes from the sky with drones to check in on you and see how clean you're keeping things and whatever else. The NBD, they're just checking in on you. They miss you. That's what it is.
From drones to airplanes, even satellites, your insurance company may be watching from above.
Did this cause some sleepless nights?
In San Francisco,
instead of going house by house,
Jeremy Solterbeck was stunned after he received a notice that Safeco Insurance, his carrier for more than a decade, wasn't renewing his policy.
I couldn't believe this is how they decided, based on a tiny drone image, that we weren't worth insuring anymore.
When he pushed for why, they sent him this grainy image.
They're trying to show that the presence of dirt indicates that water has pooled and dried out.
And he's not alone. Consumer advocates say across the country, insurance companies are dropping some customers based primarily on aerial photographs. In Virginia, Elizabeth Davis was sent this photo that her insurance company said showed discoloration and streaking on her roof.
Oh no.
I was floored. I had a bit of a panic attack.
Her options: repair the damage or replace the entire roof. She found another carrier.
Sometimes there needs to be facts checked in order to make sure that that underwriting is correct. So
Sean Kevlin with the Insurance Information Institute says insurers are also searching for issues like undeclared trampolines, excessive yard debris, and overhanging trees, which can increase risk of a loss.
certainly insurers are using technology and innovation to make sure that they have all the variables possible.
They're innovating, people. How great. How great.
To best underwrite.
EagleView is one of the companies providing aerial images to the insurance industry.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Undeclared trampolines. Exactly. You know why? Undeclared. You can't. You must declare trampolines, okay?
But they say their drones are only used to check out damage quickly when someone makes a claim. CEO Piers Dormeyer says the technology benefits the consumer and insurer.
This imagery, whether it's coming from an airplane or it's coming from a drone, is something that it's going to be part of the decision.
This dude who looks like he just got done from a shoot for Hunger Games 7, the Starvening, wants to tell us this is just totally normal. It's just super normal stuff. And we're not gonna, I mean, some people's rates are probably gonna get raised because of this, but it's important for us as the people making the money to make as much money as we possibly can.
Cancel a customer or raise their policies or potentially even lower them.
Consumer advocates say,
ooh, they might lower them if you're a really good boy or girl, or you don't identify as any gender, but you're very good. They might even lower your rate. They'll be like, hey, you've been super good. Here's some free money. Hey, that's definitely gonna happen. I can see it
Receive
happening
one of
right
those
now.
non-renewal letters,
can
contact
already
your
see it.
insurance company. Ask to see copies of those images and time to correct whatever problem was identified.
I don't know anyone who doesn't have dirt on their roof.
That's how Solterbeck fought back, paying $500 for an independent roof inspection. He says Safeco has since reversed its decision. The company has not responded to our multiple requests for comment about their use of aerial technology.
They didn't want to respond? Wow. Well, I'm sure it's just because they've been very, very busy.
I don't want reality.
It's got nothing to do with their unwillingness to answer questions about being creepy.
Don't be creepy.
If you jump right before they jump, you launch them into space. That's science.
It's science.
Okay. Let us start with this one. This is from the UNDP. What in the hell was that sound? Sounded like the space station just got hit by a satellite or something. Jesus Christ. Okay. United Nations video. What does clean energy look like? Let's see what they think.
Energy is indispensable to our lives. We need energy to move around, produce our food, power our homes, businesses, just about everything else. To tackle the climate crisis, we have to transition our entire...
This guy... Where is he? He's from Game of Thrones, right? Jaime Lannister.
energy system.
I did not realize he was the UNDP Goodwill
and
Ambassador.
Increase energy efficiency.
Sir
This
Jaime.
also means making more sustainable choices in our daily lives by reducing our own carbon footprints, as well as supporting policies that promote sustainable energy in all areas of life. This is a monumental task, but it is possible. Solar and wind energy are now the cheapest forms of energy available, and they can help us cut costs while drastically reducing emissions. They can also enable us to extend energy access to remote communities, power livelihoods, improve education, and even save lives through critical services like healthcare. In this episode of Climate Action Explained, we're inviting you on a trip around the world, from Uruguay to Bosnia and Herzegovina to Zimbabwe. Come and see how different countries are working on climate solutions in the energy sector.
As a district hospital, 24/7, we have to be able to operate on a pregnant woman who needs cesarean sections. We have to be able to deliver all the complicated cases in a well-lit environment. All of this need electricity.
So across the country, we've got more than 1,000 facilities that have benefited from the Solar for Health. We are aiming at improving the health services that are given at the facilities in the country. In addition to that, looking at mitigating the things that affect our climate, getting energy from solar, which is a clean source of energy, help us reduce emissions, and we get a more affordable energy source.
Hold on, we can't watch this whole thing. It's like 10 minutes long. We're already like an hour and a half in. And holy shit. All right, let's skip up here to BNH, otherwise known as Bosnia and Herzegovina.
We are a heavily fossil fuel dependent country, which actually causes air pollution, which causes huge greenhouse gas emissions, and there is an immediate need to react upon that. Decarbonization is absolute priority of Bosnia and Herzegovina energy sector. It can be best and easily achieved by energy efficiency and switch to renewable energy sources. UNDP in Bosnia and Herzegovina is actively working with private sector and actually how to increase their capacities to embrace this green transition. Results are seen immediately via reduction of energy, financial savings, creation of green jobs, and then reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Almost 76% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from energy sector. Benefits of energy efficiency measures are huge. So far, we have contributed to energy efficiency measures in almost 300 public buildings.
Okay, now let's move on. I just want to remind us of efforts of people around the world that are working to make their communities not only safer from climate change, but more energy efficient. Navarro Media had a renewable energy show today. Well, I've already got a bunch of shit for us to look at. There's no way I can fit an entire Navarro Media show in as well. Maybe perhaps another day. Where are we now? Yeah, so let's look at this. It's from 2 days ago, where wildfire concerns spike as lake and river levels hit historic low in the Northwestern Territories. Now, so far this year, the Northwestern Territories have not been the most problematic of the Canadian provinces as it relates to wildfires. Somehow they've skirted that up to now. It's mostly been, what, Alberta, Manitoba, and was it BC? BC also got hit too, right? But yeah, so far it's been, not so bad for the Northwestern Territories. However, people are getting very concerned about a number of factors, including water levels. Let's take a look at this.
All is not right this summer in the Northwest Territories. These muddy footsteps tell the tale. That's because ordinarily this expanse of puddles and mud is a part of Great Slave Lake known as Yellowknife Bay. But right now, much of the water here is gone.
The water levels on this lake, one of the largest lakes in the country in North America, is the lowest that it's ever been on record.
The source of the problem is south. This is Alexandra Falls near Hay River. Some water is moving, but because of a multi-year drought, both here and in northern Alberta, it's a fraction of its usual flow. Ominously dry, especially as the shallow river trickles past areas devastated by last year's fires.
Normally the barge system would have us travel up to Toledo and then Norman Wells.
The river is also a major transportation corridor. It's how several remote communities receive summer supplies. Places like Norman Wells depend on barges to deliver fuel and groceries. But this year, the barge system had to be shut down.
Unfortunately, the drought-like conditions and the low water wouldn't even allow us to get past Fort Providence.
If everything's going to have to be flown in this coming summer, that means the prices are going to get even higher. One estimate was 200 to 300% higher at the grocery store.
And this is Fur Crescent in Hay River.
2 years ago, water levels were at record highs. Hay River was hit with a flood. Last year, fires had thousands fleeing from their homes.
Because of climate change, we've seen these fluctuations that we've never seen before.
Yeah, so it's this sort of ridiculous cycle, back and forth. Flood, fire, drought, fire, flood, fire, drought. I'm going to stop. I think you get the absolute tragedy moving forward. Granted, right now, I don't think there's any big fires in the Northwestern Territories, but could change. We're going to continue to keep our eye on that. Okay. And honestly, I believe the other fires in Canada have also settled down. People were allowed back to their homes, and I believe both Fort McMurray and Fort Nelson, which were the two places that were evacuated. I think at least the two main places. There may have been a couple other places that were evacuated as well. Okay, let's look at this. This is both kind of cute and also kind of, it's like a little bit, there's like a bit of a problem here, but it's still, whatever. Let's watch. This is from a day ago, where a beloved surfboard stealing otter has been spotted again off of the Northern California coast.
Finally tonight, California's beloved surfboard-stealing otter is back. The fearless female was spotted hanging in Santa Cruz. CBS's Carter Evans hit the water to look for the otter.
These are the latest mugshots of Otter 841, America's most wanted marine mammal. Last summer, she terrorized surfers in Santa Cruz, California, biting
Otter
boards, even
mugshot.
hijacking them. Now she's back, and surfers are on the lookout.
Are people excited to see this otter? I think they're excited to see it first, and then they kind of get scared.
In an effort to do a deep dive, we hit the water.
She's been sighted at surf spots like this, but so far, no outlaw otters.
When I saw her, she was just feeding. Real close to the cliffs.
Photographer Mark Woodward snapped the latest pictures of 841, the number on her tag, over the Memorial Day weekend.
And she was being very respectful of the surfers.
He also captured the images of otter mania that went viral last year when crowds tried to get too close.
So with paddleboarders and kayakers going right through the middle of kelp beds where sea otters sleep.
Exactly.
It's dangerous. It's also illegal.
Concerned
Also
someone could
illegal.
get hurt, the Department of Fish and Wildlife set up
But
a
it is cute.
dragnet operation. It failed every time.
Either way, people should definitely stop going through there. I'm not sure what their problems are. There's so much ocean. Just go surf somewhere else. And don't bother the pregnant sea otter. That's the plan. That's the plan, right? Anyway, let's go on here. If you wake me up, you're dangerous too. I feel like sleeping in water, but breathing air is a ridiculous thing to do. But otters do it every day. Honestly, though, otters are probably some of the cutest animals on the planet. Okay, so we're going to stay here in California. We really haven't even left the West Coast yet. All right. So this is from 11 hours ago, where some very unfortunate and something of a developing situation here is going on. Apparently, currently, 12,000 acres have been burned, and more are currently on fire right now in California.
California's peak wildfire season starting off in a big way. More than 10,000 acres burned, with homes threatened, flames and smoke filling the sky. ABC's Melissa Adon is in Los Angeles with more. Melissa, good morning. This is a big deal.
Good morning, Gio. We are monitoring the Corral fire. It is a major fire growing in Northern California. This is in the town of Terry, in a rural community. CAL FIRE confirming it is about more than 12,000 acres that have burned. Fire crews have about 15% contained. Now, evacuations are underway. There's also a highway portion of I-580 shut down as crews work to battle this blaze. Fire crews containing this at 15%. 2 firefighters were injured injured and are being treated at a hospital, dealing with mild to moderate burns. Now, this is a fast-moving, wind-driven grass fire in a mainly rural area. The CAL FIRE Battalion Chief in San Joaquin County sharing how high grass is fueling this fire, and they are battling gusty conditions, with gusts clocking in at about 40 miles per hour. This as fire crews are just hoping for a break in the winds. Of course,
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to. Actually, I don't need to pause this. You keep watching this. I'm just trying to do
here,
math.
mostly rural, east of San Francisco in San Joaquin County. But look, Whit, this is a reminder that despite this wet season that we've been having out here out west and in California, it is clear that the threat of wildfires is among us, and it is such an important time and a reminder to have that go bag ready to go. Be prepared.
Wow. So I just did the math on that. 12,000 acres is like 15,000 miles long by, not 15,000, 1,500 miles long by 150 miles wide. I think it's like close to that. It's a humongous space.
In case of an emergency. And this, of course, as we're expecting even warmer temperatures in the coming days. Whit.
Absolutely. Just getting into those summer months. Melissa, thank you. That wildfire spreading in hot, dry, windy conditions, as Melissa just noted. Let's go right to ABC's Samara Theodore looking at the weather picture here. Samara, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Yeah, the improvements are not coming anytime soon. So here we have the Coral Fire burning just south of Tracy.
I hate this infographic. 90 degrees in Sacramento here. 13% contained for this Coral Fire. 13%. That is wild. No pun intended.
They're going to gust up to 40 miles per hour today. Look at the temperatures, 85 degrees today. They're anticipated to hit about 100 degrees by Tuesday, and that's when that excessive heat watch goes into effect from Redding all the way down to Afton. We also have a heat advisory that will begin a little bit closer to the coastline. We do expect the excessive heat watch to expand then by the middle of the week to Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Tucson. Speaking of Las Vegas, Vegas normally is 110 degrees by July.
It's June 2nd. What are you saying? When does this happen? This is by Thursday? Oh, what? Oh, wow. Wow, just wow.
They could be looking at hitting 111 by Thursday. That will be the earliest on record. Triple digits anticipated in Palm Springs and Phoenix as well. And very quickly, I'll wrap with this. The Central Prediction, the Climate Prediction Center is anticipating temperatures to remain above normal out west as we head into next weekend. So no relief in sight. Janae?
Oh, none at all, Samara.
Are you asking me if I'm from Sacramento? No, I'm not. I'm definitely not from Sacramento. I don't know how else to say it. Yo no. Nope, can't do it right now. Can't speak languages with my words. Just English for this moment. I was just saying it was the of the of the localities there that were pictured, Sacramento had the worst, right? Hold on, let me go back. Am I losing my mind? Am I losing my mind? Where was it? God damn it. Am I stupid? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, blam. See? Sacramento's getting at the worst in this situation. I was just commenting on that. It's got nothing to do with that at all. Plus, the season's over right now. That's my only connection to Sacramento. Okay, what are we doing? Moving on from Florida to the Midwest, where we need to talk again about insurance. We just talked about it before, but there is something going on here. We've talked about these hailstorms that have happened in not just the Denver area, but in a bunch of different spots in Denver leaving behind a massive insurance impact. This is from 2 days ago, CBS Colorado.
Well, we were on the air until after midnight this morning, taking you into the storms in East Denver and Aurora. As the storm was moving through the metro area last night, your reporter Karen Morfitt was there. There was so much hail on the roads, she was able to get out of the car and scoop it up with her hands. Tonight, Karen following up on the impact that storm is leaving behind.
And that includes people who didn't get any hail or even a drop of rain. Everyone could end up feeling the pain in their bank accounts. Karen takes a look at the insurance impact for everyone after the storm.
Whether you were in the path of this storm or miles away, insurance experts say these type of big events are something we all pay for. Now that the storm has passed,
it looks like a hurricane or tornado came through my backyard.
Cleanup begins.
We had about an hour worth of hail last night. We've got that upper window that is shattered inside with the screen gone. We've got a basement window that's completely shattered.
Kathy Palucci is among the dozens now turning to their insurance to help pay for those repairs.
Haven't claimed yet. We want to make sure we don't have any other damage before I call.
Carol Walker, executive director of the Rocky Mountain Insurance Association, says the frequency of these types of hail events has broad impact.
Because we're in Hail Alley, the number of hail claims for both cars and homes is one of the biggest factors that's pushing our premiums higher.
With that shared risk, Walker says understanding your coverage and planning are necessary.
Our home's our largest asset for most of us, so we're going to have to start factoring into our household budgets more money for insurance premiums.
Jesus Christ. This lady who works for an insurance company is here to tell us, you know what, people, you need to start telling yourself that you're not saving enough money to pay us, the insurance companies. Wild. At what point does it become more profitable to have your home destroyed than not? Sorry. I'm sorry. Done making stupid jokes. This shit is just insane. We keep hearing about them jacking up. It's like literally every single week somebody else comes out and says, well, we gotta raise it for this reason too. Sorry, we forgot about this one. We were flying drones earlier. A couple of those got blasted by the hail. We're gonna have to charge you all for those drones. We're gonna have to charge you a premium too on the drones because those were nice drones. Let's see here. Let's go here. Let's kind of look at more of the damage from this. I need less of this lady.
Northern Colorado was also hit by severe weather this week.
Residents are still cleaning up after the first storm on Tuesday night when the area was hit with more severe weather last night, and it's still coming down now. Dylan Thomas is your reporter in Northern Colorado.
Dylan Greeley has issued a local disaster declaration after this week's storm caused more than $1 million in damages.
You know, the hail took more than 24 hours to melt, which is just crazy to think of in its own. But now that the hail is melted, the cleanup still continues days after this storm. Now the city has issued a disaster declaration, which actually expedites and opens up the door to resources for those who were impacted.
Immense amounts of rain coupled with hail took a pretty brutal attack on our downtown.
And even worse to the neighborhoods southeast of downtown Greeley.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if they mentioned it, but yeah, $1.5 million in damages from the flooding. I'm trying to look it up. Denver's population is 715,000 people. That's as of 2020. So that's like $2 a person in damages just from flooding from one storm. I don't think that includes the hail. It might.
I've heard lots of people describe it as the most intense light show they've ever seen. The thunder, the lightning, the rain.
Assistant City Manager Kelly Johnson said the mayor of Greeley has now declared a disaster with almost $1.5 million in damage already reported just in the last 3 days.
What that does is position the city and our community to hopefully be able to look at assistance options through the county, state, and federal level if necessary.
Unfortunately, much of that damage is coming from the oldest part of town.
The infrastructure in the southeast part of our community is the oldest infrastructure that we have,
which is why the drains clogged and caused flooding in homes.
It was pelting on the roof. It was hitting all the cars really loud. It was big-sized hail, like baseball sizes.
DeKine Persons has spent the last 3 days helping his family clean his grandpa's home.
We've basically been tearing apart all the carpets, trying to get all the water out.
The sidewalks are now peppered with destroyed possessions, underscoring why so many need the funding help from the city.
This would be...
Okay. All right, where did my list go? There it is. All right, let's go to this clip. But yeah, the city of Greeley is apparently going to be helping people financially to some degree. Hopefully they get through this situation. Let's see here. $1 million. Oh, okay. Let's just look at this. This is about a day ago, where apparently Atlanta is facing a water crisis after multiple major water main breaks.
Your reporter in Aurora.
Whoops. Wait, what? No, that's the one. Thank you.
Good evening. A crisis is unfolding across a major American city right now. Much of Atlanta does not have any water at all, and there is no end in sight. Take a look at this. This is just one of the water mains that burst on Friday. Now, more than 24 hours later, it's still gushing. One major hospital is now diverting most emergency patients and has to transport others to different facilities. The city's aquarium shut down. A major pop star's concert canceled. The mayor late today saying there is no timeline for repairs. George Solis starts us off tonight.
There should be a Dr. Evil emoji. Well, you know, there could be a Dr. Evil emoji if the channel was monetized. I suppose we could technically somehow vote, as we do around here, and perhaps a Dr. Evil emoji could be a thing, you know, theoretically, you know, hypothetically.
Tonight, a major American city is in crisis as a water outage wreaks havoc across Atlanta.
The water is a valuable, a critical piece, a critical resource, and cities can't function and lives can't function without it. It's absolutely at the top of our list.
The outage sparked by multiple water main breaks that occurred Friday and tonight remain broken. Video showing the ruptures sending water gushing onto streets.
People need their water, people got to eat, people got.
You know, this one bothers me on so many levels because one, the water clearly exists, as you can see. Just I mean, just in those moments, I feel like you're seeing that literally thousands of gallons just rushing out of there per, I don't know, every few seconds. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating slightly, but it's a lot. Fresh water. People could be drinking. That's just going out into the fucking street. And so literally all of Atlanta doesn't have water.
Need the help.
It's ridiculous.
Atlanta's mayor apologizing for the city's initial lack of communication as he addressed setbacks today in repairs of the aging infrastructure.
And I will be candid that overnight we did not do the best job of communicating.
With every passing hour, the situation growing more tense as boil water advisories are extended. Emory University Hospital in Midtown Atlanta forced to divert patients. The hospital bringing in some 58,000 gallons of water via tanker trucks to use in the hospital's cooling towers as well as bottled water.
How detrimental has this interruption been to services at the hospital?
It's been an unbelievable challenge, both for our staff and for our patients.
Yeah, no kidding. Telling me not having water is problematic for doing medicine? No. You're telling me people in hospitals are washing things? That's crazy. That is crazy. I won't hear it. I won't hear it.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Okay. What next? Okay, this is from a day ago from the United Nations. Fossil fuels, renewable energy, and more.
Assembly high-level debate, she always manages.
Hey, settle down. Settle down.
Keep it in the ground. It's a phrase you might have heard in the context of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. The UN is pushing for the world to move to net zero carbon as soon as possible, and that means no longer pumping additional CO2 into the atmosphere by burning fossil fuels. However, in Dominica, there is a clean, renewable, subterranean resource that the government is very keen to get out of the ground. It's heat. The small Caribbean countries looking to join the small but select group of countries that produce 100% of their electricity from renewable sources by building a network powered entirely by geothermal energy, and that's the heat from deep inside the earth. You can hear my story from a rainy Dominica later in the show. But first, we welcome back Mayra Lopez from the UN News Portuguese unit. Mayra, hello.
Hi, Connor. Happy to be back.
It's great to see you. It's summer officially. It's post-Memorial Day.
It is.
A long weekend for us at the UN. Did you have a good weekend?
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, chat. We just hit 30 likes. That's a 1. Already have Cisco. I mean, Bacula. 4. Oh, we have like the original 3 right now. Look at that. Bacula, Cisco, and Fletcher. All together.
Were you stuck in the office slaving away like I was?
A little bit of both. Yeah, I know that we were on the duty team.
Yeah, on the graveyard shifts on the weekends.
Yeah, it was busy. It was very busy. We had a lot going on. We're going to talk about them a little further in the show. But yeah, I had some fun as well. I went to the Rolling Stones concert. So yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you managed to get out and about. How were they?
Well, they're still very
More
much...
energy than us, right?
Yep. For sure, for sure. It is very exciting to see how they're still on the top of the game. Yeah.
Very impressive. So I'm glad you got out because, like you said, it was this crazy busy weekend, wasn't it? Just a few days ago now, and we're still talking about those stories this week. Let's start with this enormous landslide in Papua New Guinea in the north of the country.
Yeah. So that happened during the weekend. It is estimated that thousands of people are still there. Buried, and the response is being a little hard to get there because it is in a very remote area of Papua New Guinea. But anyways, the country team, the UN country team, and many of the agencies are trying to support the response. Many agencies, not only with supplies, but they are also thinking a lot about clean water, drinking water, because this is something that, you know, is always an issue when these massive climate events happen. People don't have clean water to drink, and that can...
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna move this slightly. I did figure it was worth listening to about the Papua New Guinea landslide. which has been an ongoing situation for quite a while now. What has it been? When did it happen? 5 or 6 days ago, I think.
I'm sure, an award-winning journalist, so we're very happy to have you here, very experienced UN correspondent. I have to ask, before you start, how did you, because you're not Japanese, how did you end up working for Japanese media?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And yeah, no, I started covering the UN about 5 years ago, and I actually started having a podcast, just like you right now, in which I interviewed...
All podcasts are welcome here.
Exactly, on which I interviewed presidents of the Security Council, so kind of getting to know, who's behind all those statements that we watch every day on the Security Council, and working on a lot of news stories that go kind of beyond the breaking news that we follow on a day-to-day basis. But Japan does have a significant interest in the UN, and they do hire a lot of non-Japanese people to cover them. So I am one of them. I work for for Asahi Shimbun, but there are also other colleagues working for other Japanese newspapers. So there is a very high interest in Japan's population. So if I compare with Canada, for example, the country where I'm from, there's only one correspondent here at the UN. So it's a significant difference.
Is there any difference working for a North American, European media compared to working for Japanese media in terms of the stories you cover, or the kind of things they're interested in?
For sure. I mean, the interests are definitely different. We're always more interested in what's in our backyard. And I would say in the case of Japanese media, North Korea is definitely always top of the agenda. So, recently when Russia vetoed the renewal of the mandate, the panel of experts on North Korea, that was a huge story for us. And
Is she from Montreal? I think that's what they said. I'm just going to move this forward a little bit.
Example. Simply SIDS for short, are essentially the states that are suffering the most and the first from the devastating consequences of climate change. For example, you definitely came across breathtaking pictures of places like the Maldives on social media. Well, in case you didn't know, they're at risk of completely disappearing in just a few decades. Why? Because of the impacts of climate change. The ice on the poles is melting, the sea's rising, and there's also hurricanes and many, many other consequences that affect SIDS differently because of how unique they really are. A few examples of how the UN has been helping SIDS are pushing for climate finance and, of course, by helping them create and sustain resilience.
By the way, speaking of the Maldives, just so I don't forget this later, but if you haven't heard, I think it happened over the last 24 or 48 hours. The Maldives have banned all Israelis from entering the country. And I believe there's like a great number of, like thousands of Israelis go to the Maldives every year, supposedly.
Which includes building stronger homes. Are you interested in learning more about how the climate is affecting SIDS? You can go to news.un.org and you can search SIDS.
That was Pauline Batista on these frontline states.
I know that's not climate related, but it was Maldives related, and I was gonna forget it later if I didn't. But there was a story that crossed my my desk, if you will, earlier. Oh God, we're already 2 hours in. Where are we? You know what? Hold on. I am going to do a slight change here to how I'm doing all of this. Yeah, that actually makes more sense than it was. Alright, let's look at this now. Because there has been massive rain in Germany and Italy just over the last couple of days, which has caused devastating flooding in both countries. Let's look at this from a day ago. This is Euro News. Oh, whoops, I just went backwards. There we go.
Flooding devastated Germany and Italy as heavy rainfall ravaged the region. Around 1,300 people were advised overnight to leave their homes due to the high risk of flooding in the German Lake Constance district. Large parts of Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria are also expected to be hit particularly hard this weekend. In Italy, local media report that 3 young people have been missing since early Friday afternoon due to flooding in the northeast of the country. They had called for help as they were on a small island and the water was rising fast due to torrential rain. When rescuers arrived, they could not find them. A search is underway.
Okay, now there was some development on that search, and unfortunately 2 bodies were recovered 12 hours ago amid the search for the 3 people who were swept away by the flooded Udine River in Italy. So there is a 3rd person who is still missing. Okay. Well, they are continuing the search, but I wouldn't have super high hopes for that 3rd person, but I'll remain mildly optimistic. Let's look at this. I wasn't sure where to put this, but there was no clear explanation of what happened here, so I've decided to put it here. This is from 16 hours ago, where a fire has broken out near Israel's museum in Jerusalem. Could be climate change related. I don't know. It does just appear to be in a forest, though. Who knows what the cause could be? Oh, that's much closer to the building. Oh, wow. There's fire all. That's like 500 yards. You just noticed Jessica? Wow. Jessica's been here for like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. I am shocked. Usually you are screaming for Jessica. And yet, you've gone this whole time not knowing she was right there staring you in the face. Unbelievable. By the way, if you have a very favorite support character, but you feel like you don't see your support character enough. Well, I've got one good option for you. That option would be to, after liking and both subscribing to the stream, well, take yourself to this link in chat, and you can get your own addition to this screen that you see right in front of you here, or here, or say here. Anyway, just saying, thinking out loud. Anyways, chat, I'm gonna take a quick space intermission. So grab yourselves a little drink, a little snack, and I'll be right back. That's my arm. Smash myself twice per stream. 60% of the time. It works every time.
Equal parts. Oh my gosh. Equal parts. Oh my gosh.
Well, I just lost picture. What? There we go.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh, never occurred to me.
Interesting.
Just
That's
crazy enough to
interesting.
work.
Yeah.
Okay, what is next? I'll give you a little bit more time. A little bit more intermission. You all deserve it. It is Sunday Funday after all. I have been considering playing, what was it? What did we play last time? Words on Stream? Maybe sometime. Maybe sometime we'll do that. Maybe even today, if I can get through this in a reasonable amount of time. Although it's not looking great. Not looking great. I'm trying. Trying to get through it. Okay. Where do we start today? Oh, I think we're gonna start in space. But first, on our way to space, let's look around in the atmosphere. This is from 11 hours ago, where this solar-powered aircraft is flying high in the atmosphere. It's gathering important data.
Let me take you up. Up into the air. Up above the clouds, above the weather, above all the aircraft. This is the stratosphere, a place yet to be conquered by humankind. Up here, the air is thin and calm, and it is here that you'll find the Zephyr. This is a strange beast, and the fact that it flies this high is the least strange thing about it. See, it only travels at 40 miles an hour. It only weighs 75 kilograms. It's launched by hand. It's completely solar powered, and in theory, it may be able to stay up here for months. I was last at Zephyr's base in Farnborough in the UK in 2018 when it had just stayed aloft for very nearly 26 days. Since then, it's done 64. So this is how it works. During the day, the sun hits the solar panels which charge the batteries and power the propellers, and the plane climbs
to 75,000 feet. When the sun goes down, the batteries completely take over. The propellers do slow down and the plane does lose altitude. The trick, though, is to make sure you're still above 60,000 feet by the time the sun comes up the next morning and the process can start again. So will the entire wing be covered with solar cells? Every single square centimetre, as much as you can, is solar.
Actually, the solar array that we use now typically is so efficient that we don't tend to need to do complete coverage.
Really?
Yeah, we can actually recharge the batteries most normal days by lunchtime.
Wow. In theory, is it possible to stay up forever in this?
Well, I think eventually we'll get as close as we can to that. At the moment, our limitation is the number of cycles the batteries can cope with.
I just think it's pretty amazing that it's doing it all with solar panels in such a simple fashion. Solar panels and batteries. A couple of propellers. Hold on. We are going to watch more of this, but I'm trying to think. It's like 10 minutes long, so we definitely don't have time for the whole thing. You want an airship that's covered in solar panels? Well, I support you.
Looking for a problem. Would it carry cameras? Could it be military, reconnaissance? Since Airbus spun off the new startup company Alto in 2023, it's now being pitched for Earth observation and as a flying base station for mobile phones.
From the stratosphere at 60 or...
Yeah, it's not really carrying any weight aside from the actual motors and, I mean, right? It's like 150, it's like 150 pounds.
20,000 feet. We can...
Like it weighs less than your average human.
Go directly to a standard mobile phone. So the aircraft will function exactly like the cell tower that you have today, but it's high up. And because it's so much higher up than the regular cell tower, it can cover the equivalent of about 200 base stations on the ground. So, of course, that replaces not just the equipment on the tower, but it replaces the whole tower. That's the steel, that's the backhaul, the fiber, the microwave, but very importantly, the power, the electricity or the diesel that runs the tower. And in many cases in remote and rural areas, that's the most expensive part of running a tower.
It's also the most contributing to climate change in that relationship as well, I would also say. So that's kind of amazing, really. 7,500, how do you say 7,500 square kilometers could be served at a time per, I think that's what he said. Hold on. I gotta hear that again. Sorry, Jen.
Of about 200 base stations on the ground. So, of course, and because it's so high, it will function exactly like the cell tower that you have today, but it's high up. And because it's so much higher up than the regular cell tower, it can cover the equivalent of about 200 base stations on the ground. So, of course, that replaces not just the equipment on the tower, but it replaces the whole tower. That's the steel, that's the backhaul, the fiber, the microwave, but very importantly, the power, the electricity or the diesel that runs the tower. And in many cases in remote and rural areas, that's the most expensive part of running a terrestrial tower.
An uplink antenna would connect the mobile network to Zephyr, and then Zephyr could serve an area of 7,500 square kilometers. In theory, for months at a time. This is a real proposition.
Losing my mind.
In the event of, say, a natural disaster, a plane could be flown to an area that's suddenly become cut off from the grid.
I think that's Brazil.
Mobile operators have
wait,
something
is that
called
Brazil
cell.
or wait a second? That might be. Is that CGI? Is that wait? No, I think that's real.
Cut off from the grid.
No.
Mobile operators have something called cell on wheels, cow, which is usually a truck that has some equipment. We have a cell on wings, a flying cow, which is flying cell on wings.
These cows, planes, will fly autonomously. There are no joysticks involved. The pilots send the planes coordinates and flight plans, but they're mainly interested in how much energy it's using and making adjustments to keep its back.
You're pretty sure it's real? Yeah, me too. Also, we've seen enough floods exactly that high. How many in the last 3 months? A lot.
Fully charged. So this is the ground, and this is 80,000 feet. And all this colourful stuff, that's wind. You don't want to be in that. But if you can keep the Zephyr above it from about 60,000 feet and up, it's pretty plain sailing. The problem is, you've got to get to 60,000 feet in the first place, something that can take 10 hours from that weird hand-launched takeoff.
Trying to get it up into the air is probably the trickiest point. There's a lot more weather down on the surface than there is up in the stratosphere, so just trying to get the right conditions to get through that weather, that's probably the hardest part.
We've spent a lot of time and effort studying meteorology in the tropopause so that we can understand how to transit through it as safely as possible with this aircraft. And we've now done a global study of where all the weather is and all the different weather conditions around the world. And we found some of the best locations in the world to start launching and landing.
Yeah, so could be a good thing. We'll see. Although I have concerns about him turning into some sort of a Elon Musk type space villain. Okay, now if you missed this, this is for you. CBS Evening News from a day ago. Boeing Starliner launch has been scrubbed yet again.
We're following several developing stories tonight, including severe storms threatening several states this first weekend of June, including the Pacific Northwest.
Damn it, I forgot about this.
We're going to begin with a new setback for the American aviation giant Boeing. Today, the launch of its Starliner spacecraft with astronauts on board was called off less than 4 minutes before liftoff. They're going to try again on Wednesday. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez is at the Kennedy Space Center. Manny, what happened?
Nancy, good evening. And that latest setback happened with just 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go before launch, when a computer system that is linked to the rocket and is supposed to take over in those final minutes issued an automatic hold. Boeing, NASA, and the maker of the rocket, ULA, are working to find out exactly why that computer system did not fully activate at the right time. The two astronauts aboard the Starliner, Commander Butch Wilmore and pilot Sonny Williams, exited the capsule about an hour after the scrub. Boeing was...
I still say Butch and Sonny are a couple of great names for astronauts. I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, Boeing just continuing to not succeed at a whole lot, aside from making themselves a ton of money. That seems to be going really, really well for them. Alright, this is from 15 hours ago, where China has landed on the moon's far side in a historic mission.
China landed an uncrewed spacecraft on the far side of the moon on Sunday. The successful mission elevates China's space power status in a global rush to the moon and puts it a step closer to retrieving the world's first rock and soil samples from the dark lunar hemisphere. Countries, including the United States, are hoping to exploit lunar minerals to sustain long-term astronaut missions and moon bases within the next decade. The landing is China's second on the far side of the moon, a region no other country has reached. If all goes as planned, the Chang'e 6 crafts mission will provide China with a pristine record of the moon's 4.5 billion year history and yield new clues on the solar system's formation. It will also allow for an unprecedented comparison between the dark, unexplored region with the moon's better understood Earth-facing side.
Okay, just figured we'd look at some space history happening in front of our eyes. On the dark side of the moon, that's right, PB. That is right. Okay. Now, onto some terrestrial things here. This is from a day ago from the Associated Press. Now, I've definitely had a great number of criticisms about the Olympics as of late with regards to some of their decisions, partly regarding the, I guess like you would call it, the displacement of homeless people in order to build the very structure we're talking about right now. But let's at least look at it here. This is from a day ago where Paris is aiming for the most sustainable Olympics ever. And that's in relation to energy conservation.
Paris 2024 has made sustainability a part of its DNA.
You're talking about hand-canned whiskey? Do you have hand-canned whiskey? My God, you're holding out on us, Donald James.
Since the bid. This is why there have been some decisions being made very, very early on. For example, the decision not to build, to use 95% of existing or temporary infrastructure. This already in itself takes out a lot of the emissions that were included in previous games. You build little, right? But then what you build low carbon. So for example.
So this strategy I do actually is just the implementation of those parts of it, right? As well as some other criticism not related to that. But my point is that it is nice to see that they aren't just, like some countries have decided to do, create entire towns that are destined to become ghost towns. And, it just seems like the thing people should have always been doing.
The village was built. That's an entire neighborhood for 12,000 people. So that neighborhood was built with 30% less emissions per square meter than a normal construction today. The roof of the aquatic center, entirely covered with PV panels, is producing 20 to 25% of the energy needs of the venue. The village, a third of the rooftops of the village are covered with PV, so producing electricity. Energy, with all the decisions we've made, is less than 1% for us. It's teeny little, because we got rid of the diesel generators, at least to the extent possible. With that, plus the fact that we are using 100% renewable electricity for the first time.
Okay. I just figured we would segue with that. It all kind of made sense. Your last can of Four Loko. Wow, that's serious. That's pretty serious. What is next? Oh, yes, let's go to Africa, where we have actually talked about this quite a few times, I feel like, in the last week. But it is now, if you haven't heard, it has been decided by vote that South Africa's majority party, the ANC, who have been the majority party for 30 years since Nelson Mandela, what's it called? Like the reign of Jacob Zuma, right? Since when did he first get elected? Like 2006, I want to say. I don't have anything in front of me. I should have pulled this up. Anyway, it's been essentially a rocky road downwards. He's been accused of corruption by people in South Africa. And now, with 70 opposition parties, they have now officially lost the majority. I believe coming in at 42% of the number of representatives in South African government. And they, according to Global News, 9 hours ago, the ANC has said that they are going to, quote-unquote, heed the clear message after losing the majority. Many are quote-unquote happy for a change.
While the ANC has won the most votes in this election, the results show a significant decline in the ANC support from previous elections. While there are several factors that have contributed to the decline in support, the results send a clear message to the ANC. We wish to assure the people of South Africa that we have heard them. We have heard their concerns, their frustrations, and their dissatisfaction. Over the next few days, the ANC will be having discussions.
Would I like it if you sent me science news, potential news on the Discord? People use the potential news all the time. I try to check it as much as I can. Sometimes I just, it's often the second place I go to. Nothing against any of you, but I got like a system that I've been doing for a while, since before I even really was having any input in that region. And so like I still look at it, but it's usually like, okay, I've finished everything and let's see what else people have here type of thing. Because I mean, god, it's only so many fucking hours in this stupid day. It's one of those things I wish I could change. Bacula seemingly never wants to help with adding time to the day. It's very rude. We have him here all the time. I feel like maybe he could help us. We could just kind of change timelines back and forth, and then I would know everything
within the organization.
At least I think that's the way it works.
And with other parties and stakeholders on how best.
What do you mean you don't have any permissions to post in the Discord? I don't know what that means. Are you in the Discord? If you're in the Discord and you've accepted the rules, then you should have permissions.
Establish national and provincial governments that reflect the will of the people and that are able to take the country forward.
But some channels aren't meant for posting links or other things. Like I've kind of sectioned it off. So for instance, like GeoDragon mentioned potential news. That's where I've made it so that people can post links to, their YouTube vids or whatever else you might have link wise. Not all channels will accept you posting links, depending. I think mods might be the only people that are allowed to post links in some channels.
We call on all South Africans to resist the efforts of those forces who want to weaken our democracy, who want to undermine our electoral processes, and who want to disregard the will of the people. As a nation, we will stand together against those who threaten violence and instability. The people of South Africa, as they have shown in the past, will not tolerate any threats to our democracy.
If we don't have one government that has the ultimate power, at least if we've got 2 or 3, I think it would work better for us. Seeing for the past 30 years, I wasn't impressed about the present government.
Yeah, according to me, the way the results are coming out, I'm very happy because now we'll see the change in our country now.
I do hope they see the change that they want. I know there's been some serious problems with water and power scarcity, among other things. A lot of, like I was saying before, accusations of corruption regarding government funds and things like that. And so hopefully, yeah, that does happen. And the fact is that the ANC was in power for 30 years and without any challengers, really. I mean, there were some challengers, but they were vastly, in control of the government. Didn't really have to work with anybody else, and I think that's a potential problem for any government, really. Sort of unchecked power. I think it all depends, though, right? Who's doing the checking? Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Okay. Woke Dragon started a Discord server. Who is Woke Dragon? I don't think I know who Woke Dragon is. You heard footsteps? Okay. We actually have a bunch of different presidential elections. There's like literally... We're talking about like 4 different elections just today. So we talked about the American election. We just talked about the South African election. Now let's talk about Iran. Because we did talk about how their president died in a helicopter crash about, what, 2 weeks ago? Their former president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, has registered for presidential election as of 17 hours ago from the Associated Press. Ireland has elections next week. Yeah, UK is in the middle of elections. Everybody's doing it.
So hot right now.
Now, Ahmadinejad is he's not the greatest guy, let's be real. Him becoming president would not be great for any sort of like human rights situations in Iran. He's quite good on Twitter, though. Oh, that's what's up. I'm like resisting trying to like not play one of these videos of him like saying wild, like outlandish things about gay people. Because, I don't know, like a decade ago, he was on like some sort of a saying wild things about gay people press tour or something. But we can't. No. We're going to move on. Okay, India elections. What were the key moments? BBC says that they have the answer. All right, what were the key moments? Please tell us.
Shouldn't.
India, it's massive. So it's not surprising that it has the biggest election in the world. Voting kicked off on the 19th of April and results are going to be announced on the 4th of June. So in case you missed all of the drama, politics and action, here are 5 things you want to know about the election: the good, the bad and the ugly. So I've been coming to India for over 20 years and I covered the 2014 election. That was when this man got elected. He's been the Prime Minister ever since.
Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
He also said he wanted to blow his... He said that many, many times. He's also said things like, there are no gay people in Iran. There should be essentially education camps for people who do claim to be anything that would be, you know, cisgender heteronormative. And among other sort of wild things.
His supporters say he's brought positive changes to the country. But on this campaign trail, people have accused him of using Islamophobic language. He denies it.
Previous government said that Muslims had the first right to our property.
So in a country of over 1 billion people, you would expect some big numbers. But the statistics around this election are actually quite staggering. Of course, why not?
Oh my goodness, just what?
So there are 969 million eligible voters, of
Yeah,
which
that's a lot.
18 million are first-time voters. And get this, there's 15 million security staff and polling officials. So with all those people out and about, you'd hope for nice weather. Well, it's actually been incredibly hot. Today alone is nearly 40 degrees Celsius, and the team and I are really struggling.
But for some voters and politicians outside for hours on end, it proved too much. Experts say excessive heat has affected voter turnout in certain areas.
India's
Now, we've also talked about in the past how there has also been suppression of candidates by way of just arresting opposition candidates to the Hindu National Party for no charges at all in some cases, just to literally keep them from campaigning and other things like that.
incredibly modern country. So it was no surprise that we saw artificial intelligence.
And like many of them are like ethnic minorities, such as Sikhs or Muslims.
Including deep fakes, play a huge role in this election. Amongst other things, we saw dead politicians campaigning.
Looks pretty bad.
What raised many eyebrows was when Delhi's chief minister was arrested on corruption charges soon after election dates were announced. He's actually the leader of an opposition party and has blamed Prime Minister Modi for being behind his arrest. But India's top court did give him bail for 2 weeks so that he could keep campaigning.
All eyes will now be on the upcoming.
I was also looking at a really big screen. I suppose if it was on a really small screen, it wouldn't be as noticeable. If you're on your phone, it's like on shorts or something. Okay. What? Next. Oh god, are we already at this point of the stream right now? Okay, well that actually means I'm doing it decently in terms of time. So we are going to do something of a big ol' what do you call it? Rewind back to the United States. However, we have now entered our discussion of Israel-Palestine. Now, I'm not sure if any of you have heard about this, but there has been some, what do you call it? Oh my god, my brain is broken. Anyway, let's start with this. From a day ago, ABC News, Israel Day on 5th Parade will feature New Year's Eve style security measures. New Year's Eve style security measures from New York.
Tonight with a pro-Palestinian encampment returning to Columbia University. About a month after being forced off campus, this group of protesters is back, and they're asking for demands from school leadership. Good evening.
So as you can see, these pro-Palestinian protesters here, in that 10 seconds, they're getting attacked by police, right? They're getting their flags and other belongings ripped out of their hands by jackbooted thugs, paid for by tax dollars. Now let's see some pro-Israeli protesters.
And for Joe, the new developments at Columbia come ahead of the Israel Day on 5th Parade tomorrow on the Upper East Side.
This is
NYPD
footage
stepping
from
up
the day,
security
from
to
the,
make sure
I think this
everyone
is from
safe.
last year.
Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu has more.
people were attacked by NYPD, and we're back. Like, you can't break us. And that's what Columbia doesn't get.
After about a month hiatus, tents are now back up on Columbia University's campus. The pro-Palestinian...
Okay, actually, sorry, I forgot. I was watching this at 2x earlier. Yeah, we've seen a lot of this footage. We know how badly pro-Palestinian protesters have been treated. They've been treated with violence. They've been treated with arrests, among other things. Let's see here. So yeah, now let's look at footage from 7 hours ago. Today was the day, Israel Day on 5th. Thousands attended the parade in New York City, calling for the release of hostages held in Gaza. Now, I'm going to call this, let me change that title, actually. Thousands attend pro-Israel protest in New York City, protected by the New York Police Department.
And I, as the governor of a state that is so proud, so incredibly proud, to be the home of the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, we will continue to stand with these families until their loved ones are brought home. That is our commitment to you.
Great, Kathy. As you can see, no one's being attacked by the police.
That if
everybody's
real deal is on the
completely,
table, Netanyahu will vote
you know,
for a new deal.
just
he said stuff for
unchallenged. In fact,
the show off. But
the police have brought nice
that it's
barriers for them and
bring them
things
back.
to keep them safe from other protesters. How thoughtful.
The theme of the Israel Day on 5th, this year a parade that was extremely personal.
He loves basketball.
So if you're a pro-Israel protester, you get tax dollars and police protection. And if you're a pro-Palestinian protester, you get this.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed! I see that you know your judo well.
All right. Let's see here. What's next? All right, let's talk about this goddamn ceasefire. This is from CBS Evening News from a day ago, where Netanyahu, we already kind of talked about this before, but it deserves a talking about again. Netanyahu has indicated that no ceasefire until Israel's objectives are achieved.
To Israel now. Tonight, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning that there will be no permanent end to the war in Gaza unless all of the hostages are released and Hamas is out of power. His statement follows President Biden's announcement that Israel had issued a new proposal aimed at reaching a ceasefire. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb is in Tel Aviv with the latest. Good evening, Imtiaz.
Good evening.
Now, Biden said this was an Israeli proposal, right? So this whole thing is ridiculous. It's basically Benjamin Netanyahu saying, please convince me of my own proposal, please.
Well, following President Biden's announcement of the Israeli deal, Prime Minister Netanyahu insisted that the war would not end until Israel's objectives were achieved. Now, that includes the return of all hostages and the elimination of Hamas's military and governing capabilities.
Israelis took to the streets of Tel Aviv in their thousands, demanding Prime Minister Netanyahu not back away from his own government's proposal for a ceasefire and a return of the hostages.
President Biden, please help us, save them.
In a statement, Hamas said it was ready to engage positively with the three-phase proposal, but only if Israel clearly announces commitment to such a deal. CBS News asked Palestinians in Gaza what they thought about the potential agreement. We are hoping there will be action this time, and not just talk, said Ayad Daoul. This speech by the American president gave us hope, said Abdul Hadi Farhan, hope to return to our homes. After nearly 8 months of devastating violence, over 2 million Palestinians, almost all of Gaza's population, has been displaced. And Israeli forces, now in the heart of the southern city of Rafah. Sam.
So basically, CBS is actually recognizing that an ethnic cleansing has definitely happened. And Israel did it.
Speaks for the UN's Agency for Palestinians, UNRWA.
We've come here now. This is where we are now, Chad. Even
It's
CBS.
deeply troubling. It's deeply upsetting. Personally, it leaves me quite sick and quite fearful. The uncertainty.
Like, let's be real. CBS has been some of the absolute fucking worst coverage out of all of the American medias. At least if you count the supposed centrist and/or leftist, liberal media, right? But yeah, it was wild to hear them saying pretty accurate things for, what was that, like at least like 60 to 70% of that was not Hasbro at all. It's just facts.
I don't want reality.
A what now?
Oh fuck, I forgot about this. The stream's been going so long, I forgot about this goddamn one. It's from 3 hours ago. Well, you know how Israel's been waging wars against both Lebanon, what is it? Lebanon, Jordan? Is it Jordan? No, it's Lebanon and Syria, right? As well as Iran, to some degree. Most of their neighbors, they've been trying to wage some kind of war on. Lebanon has been taking the brunt of it for most of this time. According to Middle East Eye from 8 hours ago, 16 children in South Lebanon have been wounded in an Israeli strike. So I guess just taking a break from Gazan children to attack Lebanese children now.
Where's the Second Amendment?
Oh shit, I forgot. God damn it. I forgot there's fucking... I went to take a drink. This whole time there's been subtitles. This is so fucked. Okay. The Israeli military bombarded in southern and eastern Lebanon over the weekend, wounding 16 children in one airstrike. The Islamic Health Committee said that this Saturday strike... oh shit. The Islamic Health Committee said that the southern... I keep saying southern. That the Saturday strike in the southern village of Siddiqeen wounded children between the ages of 4 and 14. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said that StreamLord can't read that fast out loud. Lebanon's state-run national news agency said that the strike was one of the several conducted by Israel in South Lebanon on Saturday, resulting in 7 people being wounded. A source close to Hezbollah told AFP that 2 Israeli airstrikes on the group's positions. Israel has intensified its drone strikes on Lebanon since Friday night. The Israeli army said it in a statement on Saturday. It has staged more than 40 airstrikes over the past 72 hours against Hezbollah military targets in Lebanon. 40. This is ridiculous. This is fucking wild. the only democracy in the Middle East is starting World War III right now. Just attacking literally anybody and everybody. Next it'll be the EU, I suppose, and who knows? Anybody that disagrees. Alright, take it back. That won't happen. Oh, God. Obviously, I'm using the term democracy in the Middle East sarcastically. I think that much is obvious, but just to be clear. Alright. Where are we now? I'm gonna skip one. Let's go to this from Al Jazeera News. Three-phase Gaza ceasefire proposal. Israeli war cabinet to discuss the plan.
Thank you for joining us. It's 18 GMT, 6 p.m. in Gaza. In the coming hours, a deeply divided Israeli war cabinet will discuss the latest proposal to end the war on Gaza, a plan the U.S. president has said was proposed by Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right ministers have threatened to bring down the government if he agrees to the deal. In Cairo, meanwhile, Egypt has told Israel that it must withdraw from the Rafah crossing for it to operate again, according to Egyptian media. Israel took control of the Palestinian side of the border several weeks ago. Here's why reopening that crossing is so important. No life-saving aid has entered through the border in weeks. Famine is taking hold, and life-saving medical and food supplies are running low. Hundreds of trucks are stuck on the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing, and the food they are carrying is rotting in the summer heat. Now, let's find out what's happening with the Rafah crossing, which has been shut, as we've been reporting. Sarah Khairat joins us now live from Amman, Jordan. She's reporting from Amman because Israel, as you know, has banned Al Jazeera from reporting from within Israel. So these talks, Sarah, in Egypt about reopening this vital crossing, Rafah, the meeting, I understand, has now ended. What's come out of it?
That's right. Egyptian local media source, which has very close connections with the Egyptian authorities, is reporting that Egypt has said that it won't be opening the Rafah crossing as long as Israel remains there. It says that it must completely withdraw from that Philadelphia corridor and return Palestine.
This shit is insane. This is fucking insane. They're running up against so little resistance, and yet they still just refuse to allow people to eat. Why? It's attacking tent encampments now. I mean, come the fuck on. Where is, I don't know, like the entire West that supposedly denounces all of this kind of stuff? Like, what the fuck? What in the fuck are we doing here? Hold on, we're not gonna watch this whole thing. We do have to do a Galactic UN vote still later. Yeah, right there.
Way forward and how they respond to the latest ceasefire proposal. What can we expect from this meeting, Sarah?
That's right, Folly. Sundays, you'll usually have a war cabinet meeting. That's nothing unique. But what makes it different today is that they will clearly be discussing this proposed plan that the U.S. administration, including the president himself, put forward just a couple of days ago. Well, before this meeting, you've had the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, saying they're already discussing getting rid of, like, who is the next person that's going to govern the Gaza Strip Strip. So they're already said that they're looking into that, but also adding that they will not end the fighting until they get rid of Hamas's capabilities fully, not just in terms of arms or military-wise, but also in terms of not being able to govern the Gaza Strip.
Oh my God. How has there been any... Is there any governing going on in Gaza? Governing of what? Governing of what? The rubble? Rubble governance? As well as what? What else is being... There's no infrastructure, right? Of the hospitals with no electricity or water or medicine. I mean, this is ridiculous. All of this is ridiculous. And the fact is, he's trying to appease not only the people in his party, but his own desire to just wipe out the Palestinians, you know, and this has been their excuse for 8 months, to do just that. But let's look at this from 7 hours ago from CBC News, where apparently 2 far-right ministers of the Israeli government, I think they're both in the Likud with Benjamin Netanyahu, right? Hold on. I guess he's in the Jewish National Front, okay. Anyways, at least one of them is. Let's look at this from 7 hours ago. 2 far-right ministers have threatened to quit over a ceasefire proposal. Okay.
We begin with the latest on efforts for a new truce and hostage release in the war in Gaza. But there is pushback from inside the Israeli government to a plan laid out by U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday. 2 far-right ministers are threatening to resign and bring down the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he goes ahead with it. Journalist Iris Mackler is tracking developments from Jerusalem.
What we're seeing is 2 far-right parties, the most extreme right wing of a right-wing government, who are opposed to this. They want to fight on to the end, to the total defeat of Hamas. Some of the more messianic elements of these smaller parties also want Israeli settlers to move into Gaza. So they have a very different agenda, perhaps, from mainstream Israelis. But there are a large number of mainstream Israelis who also want to see Hamas defeated. And what they're hearing from their Prime Minister is that that is the aim. It's repeated every time. And I guess what Joe Biden was doing in his speech was speaking above the head of the politicians to the Israeli public.
I feel like
and
any
what he was
rational
saying
person
to them is, you're only going to hear...
would say that Hamas is pretty defeated right now, right? but no. Until Gaza is completely flat, Hamas will never be defeated, I suppose.
No matter what plan is put forward by Israel to its negotiators sent to Cairo or to Qatar, you, the Israeli public, don't hear the plans. And I'm going to tell you what they are. And that's what he laid out, you know, a ceasefire plan and an option for the day after in Gaza. What was quite interesting is I was in a shop this morning and people really were shouting at each other about it. Some people saying this is an interference in Israeli politics, others saying it's a vital step that a friend of Israel's has taken to tell us, the people. And don't forget, of course, last night, 120,000 people protesting against this government, protesting in favour of a ceasefire after Joe Biden's announcement Friday. So you can see that this issue is very fraught and at the top of Israel's agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next? Man. I mean, how do we get here? Oh my God. What has happened? What just happened? I thought I had more videos. That's the end. That's the end of all the videos. So confused. Well, I guess that's where things stand right now. A ceasefire proposal is completely in the balance, neither side having officially accepted it, offered up by Joe Biden. And currently, nothing but crickets. I need a crickets sound. Okay. Well. Well, we've made it through another arduous journey together. It's been absolutely fabulous having you people here with me. Hopefully you all have either enjoyed, learned, or feel that this has benefited you in some sort of way. That's it for me. Till I see you next time. You stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Can't forget this. Where is it? Yep. Oh, found it. That's me. This. Here. Oh, these are your galactic patrons. That's right. As you can see, things keep changing. Gabby, Gothons, Aaron W, Mitty, PV, Robot Cat, Morbius Dragon, the Anti-Corporatist. Wait, Morbius Dragon twice. That meant to be Pitchfork's Dragon. I fucked up. I copied Morbius Dragon. Forgot that. Yep. I apologize. Apologize, pal. Nadia, Boanoab, Vincent Morales, and Donald James X. Well, that's what happens when I try and rush to get the stream on time. Mistakes happen.
I don't want reality.
Okay. Jeez. All that effort to get that done before the stream, and just all in vain. Well, Morbius Dragon, you got mentioned twice. Enjoy that. Two of you is even better. That's right, yeah. Oh, God.
It's a great day for being sad.
That's a lot of ones. That's a lot of ones right there. Do something about those ones.